First Contact and Confrontation. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the observation deck of the United Earth defense vessel Dauntless, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. After 15 years of service in space, she still found herself captivated by the vastness of the cosmos. The ship had been stationed at the edge of the solar system for 3 weeks now, monitoring the anomaly that had appeared without warning near Neptune's orbit. Captain, First Officer Takashi Yamamoto's voice came through the comm system. The anomaly's energy signature is intensifying. Something's coming through. Alina took one last look at the stars before turning away. I'm on my way to the bridge. As she strode through the corridors of the Dauntless, crew members stepped aside, their faces tense but determined. They'd been drilling for this moment since the anomaly was first detected, but preparation for a potential first contact scenario was very different from facing the real thing. The bridge hummed with activity as Alina entered. Tactical displays showed the anomaly expanding, energy readings spiking off the charts. Status report, she ordered, sliding into her command chair. The anomaly has grown by 300% in the last hour, Science Officer Dr. Amara Okafor reported. Spectral analysis suggests it's some form of artificial wormhole or spatial distortion. Any response to our hails? Communications Officer Chen Wei shook his head. Nothing, Captain. We've been broadcasting on all frequencies. Keep trying, Alina said, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. And notify Earth Command that we. Her words died in her throat as the anomaly flared brilliantly, the view screen automatically dimming to protect their vision. When the light faded, Alina found herself staring at a fleet of ships. Not 1 or 2 exploratory vessels, but dozens, no, hundreds, of sleek, obsidian craft arranged in a perfect formation. My God, Yamamoto whispered beside her. The alien ships were unlike anything humans had built. They seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, their surfaces rippling like liquid metal. The largest was at least 5 kilometers long, dwarfing the Dauntless and every other ship in Earth's modest defense fleet. Red alert, Alina ordered, her voice steady, despite the knot forming in her stomach. Shields up. Notify all UED vessels to assume defensive positions. Get me a direct line to Admiral Castellin at Earth Command. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as her orders were carried out. Alina studied the alien fleet, noting their perfect positioning. This wasn't a random appearance. It was a carefully planned arrival, the kind that spoke of military precision and experience. Captain, Chen called out. We're receiving a transmission from the largest vessel. They're using our communication protocols. Alina straightened in her chair. On screen. The view screen shifted to show a being unlike any Alina had encountered. Its skin was a pale blue, almost translucent, stretched over an elongated skull. Multiple dark eyes, she counted 6, blinked independently of one another. When it spoke, its thin lips barely moved, but she heard the words clearly, translated through the ship's systems. I am Supreme Commander Zethrak of the Voidborn Collective. Your solar system now falls under our jurisdiction. We have observed your species for some time and determined you require proper guidance. Submit to collective authority immediately. Alina felt a chill run down her spine, but kept her expression neutral. This is Captain Alina Reyes of the United Earth defense vessel Dauntless. Earth is a sovereign world. We welcome peaceful contact but cannot and will not submit to external authority. The alien's eyes blinked in sequence, creating an unsettling ripple effect across its face. Your understanding is irrelevant. The collective has seen species like yours before. Aggressive, unpredictable, evolving too rapidly for stability. You achieved spaceflight mere centuries after discovering electricity. Such acceleration is dangerous to the galactic ecosystem. You will be governed, or you will be removed. We prefer to determine our own future, Alina replied. Perhaps we can discuss. Discussion complete, Zethrak interrupted. You have 1 planetary rotation to communicate our terms to your leaders, and prepare for integration. Resistance will result in immediate pacification measures. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Did they just? Tactical Officer Major Rivera began. Yes, Alina said grimly. They just threatened to wipe us out if we don't surrender our entire planet. She turned to her communications officer. Chen, get me Admiral Castellin. Now. Within minutes, Alina was explaining the situation to the grim-faced Admiral. His holographic projection hovered over the bridge's central console as he absorbed the news. They've deployed similar ultimatums to 3 other species we've managed to identify in their transmissions, Dr. Okafor reported, joining the conversation. Based on what we intercepted, none of those civilizations exist anymore. Admiral Castellin's expression darkened further. How many ships in their fleet, Captain? We've counted 347 so far, sir. Their technology appears centuries beyond ours. Then we can't win a conventional battle, the Admiral stated plainly. No, sir, Alina agreed. Not even close. After a moment's thought, the Admiral asked, What's the status of Protocol Whisper? Alina exchanged glances with her officers. Protocol Whisper was a theoretical defense measure, one that had been developed but never tested. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was something else entirely. The system is in place, sir, but untested against alien technology. We don't know if it will work. It's our best shot, Castellin said. The Security Council has voted unanimously. Prepare to implement Protocol Whisper. All other ships will move to defensive positions to buy you time. Alina nodded, though doubt gnawed at her. Understood, sir. As the Admiral's image faded, Alina addressed her crew. You heard the orders. Prepare for Protocol Whisper implementation. Major Rivera, coordinate with the fleet for defensive positioning. Dr. Okafor, I need everything you can give me on their ship systems based on the transmission data. Their hulls appear to use some form of quantum-locked material, Dr. Okafor reported. Our conventional weapons won't penetrate it. Then we don't aim for their hulls, Alina said. We aim for their minds. The next 20 hours passed in a blur of preparation. The alien fleet maintained its position, silent and menacing. Smaller UED vessels arrived from Earth and Mars colonies, taking up defensive formations around the Dauntless. They were hopelessly outmatched, but that wasn't the point. They just needed to buy time. As the deadline approached, Alina addressed her crew over the ship-wide comm. In a few minutes, we'll face the greatest challenge humanity has encountered. The Voidborn Collective believes they know us, that we're predictable, dangerous, and in need of control. Today, we proved them half right. She paused. We are dangerous, but not in the way they think. Prepare Protocol Whisper. All hands to battle stations. Right on schedule, the alien fleet began to move. Their ships glided forward with impossible grace, spreading out to surround the much smaller human fleet. They're powering weapons, Major Rivera reported. Energy signatures rising on all vessels. Alina took a deep breath. Initiate Protocol Whisper. Throughout the Dauntless, specialized transmitters activated, sending out a signal unlike any conventional communication. It wasn't designed to damage or disable. It was designed to reveal. The first alien beams lanced out, striking 2 smaller UED vessels. Their shields flared and failed almost instantly, hulls breaching in explosive decompressions. Alina watched, jaw clenched, as the crew status indicators for those ships went dark. Protocol Whisper at 30% deployment, Yamamoto reported. They're targeting the Dauntless next. Alina nodded. Evasive maneuvers. Keep the transmitters aligned. The ship shuddered as it performed a banking turn that strained its inertial dampeners to their limits. An alien beam grazed their shields, dropping them to 40% strength in an instant. Protocol Whisper at 60% deployment, Yamamoto called out. Their advance is slowing. Alina leaned forward, watching the tactical display. The alien ships had indeed reduced speed, their perfect formation showing the first signs of hesitation. They're receiving it, Dr. Okafor said, excitement bleeding into her professional tone. Their systems are processing our transmission. Another beam struck the Dauntless, sending crew members stumbling as the ship rocked violently. Shields at 12%, Rivera reported. One more hit and we're done. Protocol whisper at 85% deployment, Yamamoto said. Just a few more seconds. Elena gripped the arms of her command chair. Hold position. Complete the transmission. The bridge fell silent as they watched the alien fleet on their view screens. The massive ships had stopped advancing, hanging motionless in space. No more weapons fired. Protocol whisper deployment complete, Yamamoto finally announced. Now we find out if humanity's greatest gamble pays off, Elena said quietly. Humanity's response and resolution. Supreme Commander Zethrak stood motionless on the command deck of the collective flagship Inevitable Dominance. Around him, crew members worked at their stations, their movements precise and coordinated through the neural mesh that connected all voidborne vessels. The human fleet before them was pathetically small, barely worth the energy required to destroy it. The human deadline has expired, First Adjutant Vexmar noted. They have not signaled submission. As expected, Zethrak replied. Primitive species often require demonstration before comprehension. Target their largest vessels first. The collective fleet moved forward in perfect synchronization, weapons systems powering up. The first beams struck two smaller human ships, obliterating them with contemptuous ease. Zethrak observed dispassionately, waiting for the inevitable panic that preceded surrender. Instead, the humans broadcast something. Not a plea for mercy or a declaration of defiance, but a flood of information unlike anything the collective had encountered before. Supreme Commander, the communications officer called, voice rising with unusual emotion. The humans are transmitting directly into our neural mesh. Zethrak turned sharply. Impossible. Sever the connection. I cannot, the officer replied, genuine alarm showing in all six of his eyes. It's integrated with our primary protocols. Before Zethrak could respond further, the information reached him through his own neural implant. Not as raw data to be processed and filed, but as experience, human experience. Centuries compressed into moments, flooding into his consciousness with overwhelming intensity. He saw humans fighting wars that spanned their entire planet, demonstrating determination to survive against natural disasters, pandemics, and their own self-destructive tendencies. He witnessed their rapid advancement from primitive technology to spaceflight, how they had nearly annihilated themselves multiple times, but always rebuilt. Most disturbing was their response to threats throughout their history, an almost irrational refusal to surrender. They would endure unimaginable suffering rather than submit to rule they considered unjust. One image repeated with particular clarity: a lone human standing before a column of massive war machines, refusing to move despite certain death. Another showed humans continuing to fight after their cities were reduced to radioactive ash. Still more displayed their creativity in the face of overwhelming odds, turning everyday items into weapons, communication systems, survival tools. What is this? First Adjutant Vexmar whispered, clearly experiencing the same flood of information. They call it history, Zethrak replied, struggling to process the onslaught. Their history. Throughout the collective fleet, the effect was the same. The neural mesh that enabled their perfect coordination now transmitted human history to every voidborn simultaneously. Not just facts and dates, but emotions, motivations, context, the full tapestry of human experience. Sir, the tactical officer called out, our weapons systems are going offline. The neural mesh is prioritizing the human data stream. Zethrak barely heard him. A realization was forming in his mind, one that contradicted everything the collective had assumed about this species. Humans weren't simply dangerous because they developed quickly. They were dangerous because of how they developed, through crisis, adaptation, and an inexplicable resilience. The collective had encountered thousands of species over its long existence, Most had been easy to subjugate or assimilate. Others had required more forceful measures. But none had shown this particular combination of traits: adaptability, tenacity, and a willingness to sacrifice for abstract concepts like freedom. Supreme Commander, Vexmar's voice pulled Zethrak from his thoughts. Our ships are vulnerable. The humans have compromised our systems. Zethrak looked at the view screen, where the human vessels still held their position. They hadn't pressed their advantage. Another surprise. Any collective species would have attacked immediately upon gaining such an edge. Open a channel to their command ship, he ordered. Captain Alina Reyes appeared on screen, her expression calm despite the battle damage visible behind her. Supreme Commander, she acknowledged. I trust you've had time to review our transmission. You've injected your species' history directly into our neural mesh, Zethrak stated. A curious defense strategy. We thought you should know exactly who you're dealing with before making any irreversible decisions, Alina replied. The collective seems to value stability and predictability. We simply showed you that trying to control humans would be the least stable, least predictable course of action you could take. Zethrak considered this. The human data transmission had shown with absolute clarity what happened to those who attempted to subjugate humanity. They failed, often catastrophically, no matter their technological advantage. Your species is dangerous, he said finally. Yes, Alina agreed without hesitation. We are, but not in the way you assumed. We don't want war with the collective or anyone else. We want to determine our own path. Try to prevent that, and you'll face a never-ending conflict against an enemy that grows stronger with each defeat. The command deck fell silent as Zethrak processed this. In the collective's 12,000-year history, they had never retreated from a planned integration, but they had also never encountered a species like humanity. I require consultation with the collective elders, he said finally. Of course, Alina nodded. We'll maintain our current position and refrain from further transmission of protocol whispered while you deliberate. But know this, if you decide on conflict, that transmission becomes a weapon deployed to every collective vessel simultaneously. The screen went dark, and Zethrak turned to his officers. Their normally impassive faces showed signs of the same disturbance he felt. The human data had affected them all. First Adjutant, order all ships to withdraw to safe distance. Maintain defensive posture but take no aggressive action. I will commune with the elders. Hours later, Zethrak faced Captain Reyes on the view screen once more. The collective has reached a decision, he announced, his voice formal. Human history reveals a pattern that conflicts with our integration protocols. Your species represents an anomaly in our experience, one that would require resources disproportionate to potential benefits. Alina's expression remained carefully neutral. And what does that mean for Earth? It means, Zethrak said, that the collective will withdraw from your solar system. We will classify human space with a new designation, Autonomous Development Zone. No collective vessel will enter your territory without explicit permission. Relief flashed briefly across Alina's face before her professional demeanor returned. That's a wise decision, Supreme Commander. Additionally, Zethrak continued, we will transmit coordinates for neutral space where diplomatic representatives might meet, should humans wish to establish formal relations in the future. We appreciate that, Alina replied. But I'm curious, what designation did you give us that convinced the elders to withdraw? Zethrak's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, the void-born equivalent of a wry smile. Your vessels and planetary bodies will be marked in collective star charts with a simple warning. Avoid the human vessel. Just that, Alina asked, surprised. For any who understand collective history, it will be sufficient, Zethrak assured her. No species has received this designation in our 12 millennia of expansion. It signifies an entity too unpredictable and resilient to safely engage, one best left to determine its own path. As the transmission ended, Zethrak watched the collective fleet begin its withdrawal. The elders had been disturbed by what Protocol Whisper revealed, But he suspected they didn't truly understand the implications. Humanity wasn't simply another species to be categorized and dealt with according to standard protocols. They were something new, something that had gazed into the void of extinction countless times and emerged stronger. Something that treated surrender as a last resort rather than a rational choice. For the first time in his long service, Zethrak felt uncertainty about the collective's future. Not because humanity posed an immediate threat, but because their existence challenged fundamental assumptions about sentient development. If humans could evolve so rapidly without self-destruction, what did that mean for the collective's careful management of the galaxy? Perhaps he thought as the human vessels receded from view, it was time for the collective itself to evolve. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Captain Alina Reyes watched the alien fleet depart with a mixture of relief and wonder. "They're really leaving," Yamamoto said, voicing the disbelief they all felt. Protocol Whisper worked better than anyone could have predicted, Dr. Okafor added. They didn't just stop attacking. They're giving us autonomy. Elena nodded slowly. Because we showed them the truth. Not just our technology or our weapons, but who we are. All of it, the good and the bad. She turned to face her crew. They came expecting to find primitives in need of guidance or elimination. Instead, they found humanity. As the last alien ship disappeared into the darkness of space, Admiral Castellin's transmission came through. "Captain Rice, Earth Command is receiving confirmation of the collective withdrawal from our entire system. Congratulations, your crew has made history today." "Thank you, sir," Elena replied. "But I think the credit goes to all of humanity. We didn't win this with superior firepower or technology. We won it by being exactly who we are." "Indeed," the Admiral agreed. "And who we are is apparently scary enough to make one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy think twice." He paused. "Avoid the human vessel. I think I like the sound of that." Elena smiled as she looked out at the stars. The same stars she'd been admiring before the collective arrived, now somehow different. Humanity had faced its first true extraterrestrial threat, and emerged not just intact but recognized. Whatever came next, the galaxy would know. "Underestimate humans at your peril. Set course for Earth," she ordered. "It's time to go home." As the Dauntless turned toward the distant blue planet, a message was already spreading through collective space, passed from ship to ship, world to world. Beware the species that turns history into a weapon. Beware the creature that thrives on adversity. Above all, avoid the human vessel. For in all the vastness of space, nothing was quite so dangerous as a being that refused to surrender, even when logic dictated it should.